I'm not someone who is so interested in storytelling,
Right.
like straightforward storytelling. I I've never really believed that um, it matters what a film is about. Uh, what really matters to me is how a film goes about telling whatever story it's trying to tell.
Welcome back to the Corner Talks podcast. I have my good friend here.
How's it going, man? Happy to be back.
No, it shouldn't be about anything. Like, this is one life.
Yep, one life? Like, fucking do it.
My guy.
Like, she just got it. She totally understood it.
20 years old when I started just watching a lot of movies.
And it tells a story. I want to tell a story.
You know, just working hard, you know, like you said earlier, it's all about putting out content. So I'm in my editing suite every day, just working. What about you?
That's amazing. Yeah, no, for sure. Thank you for that introduction. It's always important to be hustling, always important to be working, especially with that, the field that we're in. It's important to have that kind of mindset, that attitude. But same thing. Yeah, exactly. Just hustling, always trying to find a way to make content, to be creative, to tell a story. I'm sure you can relate on that. Just this weekend, had some time, so I had some footage left over from a shoot I did for my clothing line, from a collaboration, like a behind the scenes, and I just used the time to piece it together, stay
cool.
creative.
You have a clothing line?
In the flow. Yeah, I have a clothing line. It's called the 94 Collection. I'm actually wearing the crew neck with one of my sayings, "Keep the dream alive."
Were you born in 1994?
I was, yes.
That's awesome. Nice.
Yeah, and my hero is Quentin Tarantino. So Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, 94 is his year.
Pulp Fiction,
Yeah.
right? That's the year that made him who he was, put him on the map. So it's very sentimental to me. It all kind of works in conjunction, right? But yeah, man, so great to have you on the podcast. It's been such a long time since we last kind of connected in person.
Pre-pandemic.
And yeah, exactly. Pre-pandemic, literally right before the pandemic, probably just a few months before. We were at the Toronto International Film Festival for the premiere of Honey Boy for Shia LaBeouf. And it was a wild event. Just quickly, what were your thoughts on that event? Did you have a good time? We didn't really discuss after.
I had a great time. I accidentally bought seats in the wrong section, so when I showed up, there were no seats for us, and the people bringing us to the seats were very upset with me, and but I convinced them to let us sit in the back.
yeah, for sure.
It was an interesting. I mean, it's an interesting film. It's an interesting, meditation on fame and self and generational trauma and.
Yeah, definitely.
So I mean, it's, I think there's a lot more controversy around it now than there was when we saw the film.
Oh, really? But, I haven't heard much.
Just in terms of Shia LaBeouf's personal.
Oh, yeah.
Personal life. But I think the film and the director of the film did an amazing job with what, the material and what they were trying to do.
Yeah, kind of.
What
exactly.
did you think?
Yeah. The, when I watched it with my buddy, we both agreed the film kind of did exactly what it intended. It was intended for, more so than I think the audience, really, for Shia LaBeouf himself. It was therapeutic. It brought closure, to really have a window into who is this kid, where he came from, and they did it in such an artistic, kind of a unique way, unconventional, the way it was shot. And I know Shia LaBeouf, I remember expressed explicitly on the Q&A that he didn't want a studio to be involved because he knew it would have been cookie cutter, sugar coated, and you see it, right? It was a very raw,
such a personal film.
Yeah, it was insanely gritty. Yeah.
What's interesting to me is just that he's been in the public eye for his whole life, and even though I'm a lot younger than he is, I grew up watching Even Stevens and
right, and
a lot of his stuff, and I guess it's just interesting to follow someone's career for your whole life and see how it evolves and changes and how they even critique themselves or portray themselves looking back.
Well, that's very interesting that you said that, because I resonate with what you're saying. Exactly. That's part of the reason why I do these podcasts and why I keep a lot of the content that I'm not really too proud of on my YouTube channel, like from years ago. You know how you always look
Mhm.
back and say, oh, like, the film,
Like short
look at the
films you
grainy.
made and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Short films as well. Right. But I keep it on purpose because I'm always have that wish, that desire that one day, like if things, as things progress, as things become more successful, I want like someone like us, our age or even younger, to look through the first video and say, wow, like
Yeah.
look at that progression, like it's possible. You know what I mean? I
When
don't
did
want
you
them to
make your
see-
first film? How old were you?
Oh yeah, probably like I was 20, 21. And
Like
it
your
was by
first,
myself.
like your first short, you were 21?
Like I was first, yeah. I wouldn't even know. It's more of experimental. Like I don't even think it was
Cool.
a proper short. Like it was just music kind of told the story. It was about
Mhm.
a guy that finds, like, he ruins his shoes and then he finds better ones behind a dumpster. Kind of like
That
a
sounds
magical
amazing.
moment. Yeah.
Was it inspired by that Spike Jones music video?
No, probably
How'd they get there? You know?
maybe indirectly. Like I saw it and I said, hey,
Yeah.
maybe I should make that. But I definitely got to check that out now that you've mentioned it. No, it
Mhm.
was really. I watched Star Trek Beyond,
Nice.
and what was that song that was playing? I can't remember.
The Beastie Boys?
Yeah. I
Sabotage?
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah, Sabotage.
Sabotage.
So no joke, it was actually inspired by that song.
Wow. It's a great. I mean, the
and-
Beastie Boys are they're some of my favorite artists.
Yeah, no, it was a great song and it got me all riled up. It was perfect too because it was the summertime. And I said, you know what? I shot
It was
in
like June
graffiti alley.
2009, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Was it?
remember when it came out. I'm pretty sure. It might have been.
Oh no,
was
this
it,
is
was
no,
it
no,
08?
this is the
Oh,
third
Beyond.
one.
Is that the one? That's the one with Benedict Cumberbatch.
No, that's the second. That's the second one. This is the one
Oh,
with
which one was the
Idris
third one?
Elba. I think he was the
Okay.
villain. Yeah, in the makeup. But
I
that
still
was
have to see that one.
2016. Yeah, years ago.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, getting back to clearly, evidently on this podcast, we share a mutual passion and career in filmmaking. And I always want to know from my guests, especially from you, how did you get involved with filmmaking and why did you pursue this art form?
It's a great question. I think about it a lot. I mean, when I was a kid, when I was like a really little kid, I always loved like visual media and visual art. And my dream as a kid was to be an actor. And I wanted to be on Saturday Night Live. Like I loved, Jim Carrey was one of my biggest influences ever. And as I watched more films and through my interest in acting, I started to turn my interest, I guess, behind the camera. And I became really interested in the directors portraying, I was specifically Jim Carrey when I was a kid, but watching, I think, the Truman Show at such a young age was it totally blew my mind.
Yeah.
The way that the Truman Show experiments with storytelling through the editing and through like the camera work, like all the secret cameras around. Have you seen the Truman Show?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
94, by the the way.
Yeah.
1994, that was film
mhm.
released. But yeah, amazing concept and premise.
Yeah.
I think it even developed a kind of like a syndrome. Like some people believe that they're being watched or they're in some sort of like alternate reality.
And it predicted that the reality TV wave, that hadn't even arrived yet. It just
that's true.
I watched the movie a couple weeks ago, and it feels even more relevant now than it did back then. And it uses I loved how when I was around, I saw it I think when I was like 10 or 11, and I had also just seen Powakatsi.
Okay.
And to see Truman Show use like the main score from a different film, like an iconic score from a really like significant film, for the Truman Show to use that for its own film taught me that you're not confined necessarily by original material. You can recontextualize things that you love from other artists and other films and other any other kind of art form, and really make something new or original out of it that's your own. That's something I really loved about the Truman Show.
Yeah, so it kind of kickstarted your passion for the art form, and you kind of started to.
Oh, sorry. So to answer your question,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I struggled a lot socially, with my peers. I had a really hard time connecting with people when I was younger. But the way that I was able to connect with people, I found, was through film. And so I kind of just I kind of just dove headfirst into film, and it was for like from like 12 to 14, it was really all I did was watch movies. I would go home during my lunch period, and I would like, I remember being in grade 9 and being like, all right, if I go home now, I can watch an hour and a half of Barry Lyndon, and I'll go back to school and finish it when I get home.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I just watched so many films, and then I was able to create, I was able to like have really meaningful relationships with my teachers, and because the other kids didn't know what I was talking about most of the time. Like in grade 8, I went for Halloween as Steve Buscemi from Fargo.
Oh, amazing.
Like in grade 8, and like no one knew what my costume was. It was devastating.
No, but
yeah,
that happens,
film is just
right?
the way. Yeah, I mean, film's always been the way that I connect with people, and still to this day, it's just I think it's a really powerful tool to create empathy between people, to learn about, like film is the it's the easiest way to travel anywhere. Film is a time machine, and film is a vehicle to anywhere around the world.
Yeah.
So
no, for
yeah.
sure. And I relate to a lot of the things you're saying. Like you and I, just hearing more of our conversation, are very much alike. As a kid, I was known to be extremely reserved. I still am. I regard myself as introverted, but a little bit more extroverted now because of my career and what it requires of us to do. But at the same time, like I was very shy and very to myself. But movies was my only way to kind of access another world, right? Like that escapism. Really, like you said, to kind of feel things that you haven't felt before, like a sense of empowerment, right? If you're watching a hero story. Or projecting yourself in a character's shoes. And it's funny me saying this, like, because I don't know how far your mind goes with, looking at different films. But for example, like I remember when I was 16, right? High school was a little bit of an awkward period for me. I still had my friends, but I never really felt I belonged, and just felt like an outsider. But to give you some context, I was from Toronto. Well, technically Vaughan.
Oh, really? So
like
I
the
was in Vaughan
outskirts,
also.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah. What
there you go.
school did you go to?
St. Elizabeth in Thornhill.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was at Westmount.
Westmount, that's amazing. Yeah, we always used to talk about.
We were right.
I think we had some
right
kids
beside
come
each
to
other.
St. Elizabeth. Yeah, no, because there were some kids, or at the promenade we were intersect.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just wanted to mention this, where basically, like, I watched this movie called Jumper. I don't know if you watched it, Hayden Christensen.
Jumper came out in. Does he go to Egypt in one scene?
Yeah,
like
he goes to Egypt. He teleports.
I saw that movie. I was on a trip in Florida with my family, and we went to see that movie at the it was like the Universal Studios movie theater.
Oh, that's amazing.
I saw it there. That was like a huge that movie was a huge experience for me, because I had just gotten into film so much, and like I was at Universal Studios. And so yeah, I'd love to hear your story.
Yeah, no, for sure. And basically what I was gonna say about Jumper is that about watching films.
It has Dakota Fanning, right?
No, I don't think it was Dakota Fanning. It was no, you're thinking of Push. I think of that was Chris Evans. It had the girl from the OC, Summer.
Right.
Her name was Summer in the OC, but I don't know her real name.
Yeah, I remember.
But what I'm saying is that like that film kind of just made me feel like I resonated with the character. Like he was kind of an outsider, a loner, but he had then he could acquire this inherited this ability to teleport anywhere he wanted. Mm-hmm. And again, it's that escapism, but it's a bit projecting yourself in the character, and that's what movies do for us, right? For anyone that's maybe introverted, reserved, maybe doesn't see the world the same way, we can kind of look at these movies as a learning lesson, right? Kind of like a textbook situation of like what would happen. Obviously not like exactly, right? Because
you maybe learn what not to do.
And learn what not to do. No joke. Seriously. Like at the end of the movie, right? Like sometimes it just teaches you a whole bunch of lessons. And that's what people like a true moviegoer, right? Like someone that really appreciates film will understand, is that you gotta, understand that there's a fantasy element, a fantastical element, but at the core, there's something the filmmaker is trying to tell you, right? Like whether it's a relationship, whether it's a career, a life-changing move. You just have to break it down. And I'm so glad that we resonate on that level, because it's so true. Like that's what filmmaking has done for a lot of people, a lot of creatives struggling to make sense of the world, struggling to connect with others. they really could never, they would always struggle to connect with.
It's interesting you say that you were an introvert, because like we do connect on in that level, but in the same, we both struggled with with like, what is it, so with social norms and stuff, but I was such an extrovert.
Oh, okay.
And but I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know
Right.
how to talk to people. I loved what I loved, and it's all I wanted to talk about, but no one else wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
So
And
I
then see
guess I
that maybe,
became a little more introverted from that.
honestly,
But
man, like now that you just clarified that, maybe I don't even know what the proper definition was, because that's something that I think I chose to become more recluse because I didn't know. I was fear of judgment eventually, because you would be,
absolutely,
you know what I
fear of
mean? Like
judgment.
you would want to talk so much, because you're right. Yeah, actually, like when I reflect back, and that's why I say introvert, extrovert, because there are introvert tendencies where it's like, I like my own time. I don't like to be out all the time. Like I like to reflect and collect my thoughts. Like I'm a homebody, whatever.
I mean, going to the movies on your own is an amazing thing. To go to
Yeah,
the
you know
movie
what's,
theater by yourself. I
yeah,
love
and
it.
you know what's crazy about that is that growing up, I never really thought that was a thing. Like, would you be
Yeah.
weird? Would you look weird? And I've done that recently in the
For the
last
first
couple
time?
of years. Yeah, for the first time, seriously. Like,
Yeah.
because I've always had an opportunity, whether a girlfriend or a friend, whatever. I always thought you should go with someone, right, to share the experience. And then I watched like The King and like I think it was The Irishman, like at the TIFF Bell Lightbox, or when I was working the TIFF Bell Toronto International Film Festival, I would just sneak into
Were you a volunteer or did you?
Yeah, volunteer. Yeah. So I would
Nice.
get a voucher and I would go in. But you're right, like completely immersed, no distractions whatsoever.
Yeah, you don't
not
have to worry
worrying
about
if the
what the other
person next to
person
you
is thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You just enjoy it. And speaking of movie theaters, like it's the one time, like I love going to movie theaters. I really hope they don't become obsolete. I know there was a scare with the whole pandemic, but you don't look at your phone. You just completely get entranced by what's happening on the screen. And it becomes like, it's magical, right? Like you just
It's your
a
whole
good one,
world
that is.
for an hour and a half to 3 hours.
A good one, that
however
is,
long.
right? A good one.
Yeah,
Because when it's
yeah.
when it's bad, it's bad. My mind starts thinking about like, hey, I got to do the laundry. I got to do this when I get home. Got to do that. But so that's great, man. I'm glad we connect on that level. So I want to know, as a filmmaker like myself, how's your experience been so far in the industry?
Well, I guess in terms of the industry, I've never been someone who wants to like so much be a part of the film industry. I thought about going to film school for most of my life, and then I ended up not going to film school. I went to U of T for sociology and history. I thought I've been like spending my whole childhood learning about film. Maybe I should learn about something else before I like go into filmmaking.
Expand the knowledge.
Yeah, and I'm really glad I did.
Good.
When I was doing my undergrad, I sometimes would wonder, what if I went to film school? Should I have gone to film school? But and I took a break from filmmaking while I was in my undergrad, because U of T is pretty academic.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Pretty intense.
Highly intensive.
So yeah, but then in my fourth year, I thought, what makes me happy? What do I want to do? And the only thing I could think about was filmmaking. And so just in a super independent level, I got back into filmmaking. I made a movie about my friends and I finishing university and moving on to the next chapter of our lives, and that was the first in a trilogy that I just finished a few months ago. It's been a 2-year trilogy.
Amazing.
Yeah. Sorry, what was the question again?
Like how your experience has been in the industry so far.
Oh
like,
yeah, so
any challenges, any highlights?
I mean, I guess like as a kid, one of my dad's best friends is a special effects guy. He did the special effects on the Hulk and on Scott Pilgrim and like a ton of Toronto productions. And I was really lucky
your father was a
my
director
dad's one of his best friends.
Oh wow,
is like a special effects guy. So he would take me on set as a kid, and it was so cool. One time he gave me like these smoke bombs, like just to take home, that you could throw on the ground, and like I use them in some short films. I've been making shorts since I was like 11.
That's
years
amazing.
Old, so
yeah.
But I don't think I mean, if I found my way into the industry independently, I would be so happy. But I don't think I have really any interest in working my way like up in the industry. I don't. I guess first and foremost, like I want, I want to make the films that I want to make in the ways that I want to make them, and I'm happy to do that in how, whatever way that I can. And I haven't felt that the industry makes the kind of thing that I am interested in yet. Maybe once they see my work, maybe it'll open up the industry a little bit to some, but
So you have
I'm
more
very
of an
happy.
interest telling your own stories kind of thing, as opposed to
Absolutely.
joining
Like,
a
I don't-
union, working your
yeah.
way up. Yeah, I got you. Same thing, man. We're on the same. It's amazing. Like, this is what I mean by like that, and this is why the purpose of this podcast is to connect with like-minded individuals. Like you and I have a very similar path. I went to university, Ryerson, for marketing. That's something I
Wow.
thought I really wanted to do.
That
graphic
helps with
design.
film though.
That does help with film. Yeah, I'll have to
Yeah.
admit that's helped with
I
my
wanted to go
production
into
company.
marketing. I'm a big fan of Mad Men, so
Yes, yeah, and that's why probably I went, right. That show, insane. I love it. But unfortunately, my heart was always with film, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like with yourself, and I still used that knowledge, right? Those skills that I acquired, but at the same time, like, filmmaking is my primary goal, my mission. That's what gives me joy in life. And around fourth year, yeah, that's around the time when I told you I made my first film called Graffiti Alley, and
Yeah,
it was a
congratulations.
fun time. Yeah, thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, and yeah, congratulations to yourself as well. Like, the fact that you had the tenacity, the courage to
Thank you.
pursue this art form, like, because it's not, as you know, easy
Yeah.
in any
I
sense.
honestly, I don't know what else I would do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm also a
Same.
teacher, but
Okay, nice.
and I love that, but film is like, yeah, film is my whole life.
No, for film is what makes me complete, makes us complete, I'm sure. And yeah, like, I can't live without it. Like, and that's what I mean by, and we were talking about before, is with filmmaking, it's not just that we consume it, we watch it.
Mhm.
There are even moments, experiences in our life that we want to translate to the screen. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, that's what separates the moviegoer from the filmmaker, right?
Mhm.
And that's what I kind of realized is, because I was always concerned. I don't know if you had the same thing, Joey, where it's like, do I really want to be a filmmaker, or is it just I love movies so much? You know what I mean? Like, what's the defining line? And that's when I started realizing, no, like, I'm writing scripts on my spare time.
Yeah.
Like, I've written already 4 feature-length screenplays that are passion
Wow.
projects I want to direct. Yeah. So I'm saying to myself, like, there's clearly that incentive. There's clearly that passion, that spark that needs to be ignited and
Definitely.
need to be recognized, right? You can't just kind of tell myself I love movies. It's like, no, I
Yeah.
love making movies. There's a huge difference. So really glad we share
Yeah.
similarities on that note. So what films have you made so far, and which ones are you most proud of?
Oh man, so when I was 12, I went to this, or since I was 10 years old, I've been going to this arts camp called Centauri Summer Arts
Okay.
Camp. And they had a film program that I did for like 7 years or something like that. And then I was also on staff there and worked in the film programs when I got older. So we made a ton of shorts there. And I think, you said that you were worried, or you wondered, am I a filmmaker or someone who loves to watch movies? I think I was too young when I started to really like, I think I was at an age where it seemed like they went together. I was just watching all these films from like when I really got into David Lynch at that age, and the Coen brothers, Spike Jonze, Charlie Kaufman. Like, Charlie Kaufman is the most influential screenwriter for me.
100%.
Yeah,
I
so
could see that. Yeah.
yeah, I loved learning that he breaks all the rules, but you also have to learn the rules to be able to break them. And that's why I think Charlie Kaufman is so gifted, and that's like his style of meta filmmaking and meta storytelling is something that I really strive for in like everything I do. Yeah. So I get lost sometimes.
No, for sure. I was just gonna say, like, touching on Charlie Kaufman, like, because I remember his films, like, being John Malkovich, You know what I
Well,
mean? And, like,
adaptation especially is one of the biggest influences on me. I like
that was a
to,
great one.
to write
with Nicolas
yourself
Cage.
into your own script, you know,
Yeah.
to be asked to adapt a book and then write a script about how you're struggling to adapt the book, like, and to write yourself a fake twin, you know, yeah, it just opened so many doors for me creatively in my mind. Like, it just expanded what I realized you're allowed to do in filmmaking.
Yeah, the possibilities, really. I think that's the same effect for me. Like, my Charlie Kaufman was Quentin Tarantino. Like, I really, I was too young to really watch Pulp Fiction when it came out, and Kill Bill. Like, I was a kid. I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And but what I'm saying is, when Django Unchained came out, that was, and Inglourious Basterds, I was starting to become a teenager, an adolescent, and that's when I started understanding, maturing, learning more about the art form. And I can't describe the feeling. It's just, it took me over. But going to watch Django Unchained in the theater, that was my first Tarantino movie. Back to
I
what you were
remember
saying.
seeing that.
Yeah,
I saw that at the Varsity.
yeah, a Ryerson.
Were you
Is that
the
Ryerson?
the Babe Laura Cinema?
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
the Manulife Center.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, like,
It was a
you
great-
watch
yeah.
that, and because leading up to that, right, I was obviously familiar with films, but then I see that, and I'm talking about breaking the rules. For me, that was
Yeah.
like wild. Like, it just pulls you in, like, with the music playing right at the opening credits, and you just saw a filmmaker in control. And I think I fell in love with it more because I'm saying, like, this isn't like a committee, this isn't a studio, this isn't a group of people, or like some sort of adaptation. This is one guy from start to finish, like a vision. And that started my infatuation with the whole man, like his career.
So
And
do you want to
just
be an
becoming-
auteur? Is that
yeah, something
that
like,
your
hey, no, that is something that I definitely strive for every day, you know, being a writer, director, being someone that when you look at my films, it's like, it's a brand, like Calderon 94 Productions. Like, that's like, you know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
Like, I fell in love with the idea that when the movies came out, it was like, if you think about it, you're like, yo, I'm watching Tarantino's next movie. Oh, what's it called? It's not, I'm watching this movie. Oh, by the way, who's the director? Like, it's a brand. You know
Well, there
what
was
I
a
mean?
time, you know, like in the golden age, when people would go to the theater to see the director's film.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's really like in the last 40, 50 years become an actor's, like the actor
an
is the
actor's
draw.
vehicle. Yeah, for sure.
But
No,
used to, you know,
it's true.
like, you used to go see the new DeMille film, or the Hitchcock film, or, you know, but I mean, like, I guess that, like, the class of 94, like those, you know, those filmmakers that blew up at Sundance are a very lucky generation. I wonder if we'll have the same like opportunities that their generation did
Yeah.
coming into the industry, because that was
No,
like
you're
that was a
right.
crazy time.
Yep.
Like, I guess the rebirth of the independent film movement.
Well, Tarantino,
I'm really hoping the 2020s bring about another independent film movement.
well, that's what I'm hoping too, Joey, because Tarantino even acknowledges how lucky he is. Because around the time that he came up, it's all timing, right? In cinema,
Yeah.
the filmmaking kind of industry was becoming redundant. Like, the stories were just kind of lacking any originality. And then you come out with Pulp Fiction, and it just blows everybody out of the water. Like, that indie, retro, like, edgy kind of filmmaking, right? Like, breaks the rules.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the polished, you know, $100 million budget. And that's
and
what I'm
that
hoping
opened the
for,
door
because
for like P.T. Anderson and you know,
Oh,
other
yeah.
people.
Yeah,
There was,
Gus
because
Van
I think there
Sant.
was, the studios had trust in the independent filmmaker from that.
Yeah, Gus Van Sant. Yeah, well, it brought back the whole.
Gus-
It,
yeah.
it was never the peak like the '70s, but it kind of was.
Yeah.
It was a similar. to
No
that
Easy
time, right?
Rider.
Yeah, no Easy Rider. No, the movies in the '70s. Holy shit. Tarantino
Yeah.
himself even said, like, that was the peak of cinema, and you have to understand what he's saying. Like, you could pull any
American
movie from the
cinema.
70s. American cinema, that is, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I really do believe that's going to happen. Like with anything, like the
Well, I
pendulum
hope
swings
we're a
both
part of
ways.
it.
And well, I believe we will be a part of it, because if you look at our age, right, we're in our 20s. Are you in your 20s?
I'm 24. Yeah.
24. Yeah. Okay. So you're in 20. So I'm older than you. I'm 27.
Yeah.
So we're in our prime, as they would say, right? And if you look at a lot of the heroes that we're discussing, right, Tarantino, he made Pulp Fiction when he was 31, and with this whole like
He was
superhero
31. I thought
renaissance-
he was younger. He was 31.
31. Yeah, man.
Oh my
I
gosh.
think with
I got
Reservoir-
lots of time then.
you got lots of time, man. Don't
My
beat
goal
yourself up.
is, since I was a kid, is to make my first feature by 26.
Yeah, so
that's always been my goal. So
hey, you definitely have more. I can't say 26, but mine's 30. Like my hero, Tarantino. But honestly, you know what's crazy is that when I tell that to people, they remind me that that was actually, and he even said it too, like that was young, that was rare, that's an anomaly,
Yeah.
like that he blew up at that fast, right? A lot of filmmakers blow up around like their 40s. Look at Denis Villeneuve, right? Like the guy's, I think, in his 50s now, right? So
yeah. Oh, he's like, he's 50, he's 54, I think.
but now he's
I met
becoming
him in
mainstream, right?
October.
Oh
He was
yeah,
really
nice.
nice. Yeah.
Nice, good for
He
you.
hosted this Lawrence of Arabia screening
I think
at the
my buddy,
Lightbox.
yeah, do you know Eric Tom J by any chance?
No, but I'm sure
No, I think he was there.
I'll meet
Yeah,
him.
sure you cross
Yeah.
paths with him, but that's great, man. Well, you know, although we're pursuing a very similar path in filmmaking, one thing that kind of struck me, especially on your Instagram, is that you've also identify you as a musician, right?
Yeah.
So I want to know, like, how did you get involved in the music industry, and why did you become a musician along with being a filmmaker? How did this happen?
I've just you know, as much as film has always been you know, so present in my life, and like film was one of the main ways I also connected with my family. My mom and dad would like always show me and my younger brothers stuff that they grew up watching, and I would watch movies with my grandparents all the time that they loved growing up. Like I remember watching like a lot of Mel Brooks stuff with my grandparents, and my dad he's been going to like TIFF Midnight Madness since he was in his 20s, and he's a big film guy too. But my parents were also really into music, like and we would drive around the city a lot, and my dad would always have like new albums playing. Like I remember being like a little kid, and like Kid A had just come out, and my dad is blasting Kid A in the car, and I'm like a little kid. I can't imagine what hearing that kind of music at such a young age, like to normalize those sounds at a young age, really
Right.
just I mean I just, aside from film, like music is one of my biggest passions. I taught myself to play guitar in second year because I really like, when I strayed from film in my undergrad, I guess I was pulled toward music. And I mean, Bob Dylan's one of my favorite musicians, and I love the Velvet Underground, and David Byrne, like Talking Heads, are a big influence. And David Byrne like does he mixes film and music a lot too. But yeah, I just, in second year I taught myself guitar, and I wanted to try being like a folk musician type thing. And I just, I love music. Music is one of my favorite subjects for a film to tackle. Like Spinal Tap is a huge influence too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think as a filmmaker, like so many of my favorite directors have just such a like deep knowledge of music, and like how it interacts with their filmmaking. Like I like, when I was a kid and I would write screenplays, I would always listen to classical music while I would write, and like picture how I would shoot it, how I would edit it, and how I would add like the music all in my head before I would even start. But yeah, I just think music goes hand in hand with film, you know, as film as an art form that like combines so many different art forms. The way that music you know, works with film is just like, I think it's one of the most beautiful parts of filmmaking, is what music can do for your film. So like,
yeah, well, filmmaking.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I was just
Like,
gonna say filmmaking. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No,
No, I was just going to interject and say exactly on your point. Like the reason why I ask you about this whole musician venture is because music goes hand in hand, right? Music works in concert with film, because filmmaking encapsulates a lot of mediums, right? Photography, visual, poetry, you know, music itself. And the fact that you're able to, like, there's one thing for me, I'm the same way as you, right? Like I use music to not only tell the stories, but be inspired to conceive the stories. But you take it one step further, that you actually have knowledge. You actually can read and understand music. So like,
I don't know if I can read music, but
okay.
I do my best.
But you play it, right? You produce it?
I play guitar. Yeah, I can play guitar, and I can do a little keyboarding.
Okay.
But one of my best friends, I'm so lucky that one of my best friends, Keshav Sharma Jaitley, he goes by Pyari professionally. He's one of the most talented producers I've ever met in my life.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so I have, when I'm making like when I just finished my first feature actually, and we just submitted it to TIFF last week.
Oh wow.
But
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. So I worked really closely with my friend on the score. Like I had all the songs in my head musically, I could hear them. And so we would sit in the studio and I would like sing to him like what I wanted him to do. I'd be like, I would have to just like express as best I could what I wanted from him, and like find different references for the production. Like you know, I'd show him some like a John Bryan piece from Punch Drunk Love, or I'd show him like a Johnny Greenwood score from like The Master, and I'd be like, can you like combine the sounds of these two tracks and then like use these notes and like so. But he's such a genius. He can do anything I asked him to do. He can just do like to, you know, like to the next level. So
That's amazing.
I hope he gets recognized for his score, because it's incredible. Like
Yeah,
the
amazing.
film wouldn't be anything without his score.
Well, yeah, as we know as filmmakers, right? Music is so
Yeah.
important. Sound, I should say, is the second most important thing behind.
Yeah. Well,
Story.
sound. I spent like months and months on the sound design.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
That's amazing. Well, so quickly, just I guess go over this. So how long were you working on this feature? Like, how did you get funding?
Oh, it's completely independent. I mean,
Okay.
it's a no budget film that I've been working on for 2 years. It's the last part of the trilogy I was telling you about.
But it's
we
a
met
feature
when
length, like it's an hour and a
it's
half.
2 hours and 25 minutes.
Oh my God! Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you.
No, it's
Thank you.
ambitious because
Yeah, it's
I've
fully
never.
original score.
Amazing.
And then there's all this public domain classical music.
Good for you, man.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
we shot it kind of secretly all around Toronto. And
But you
yeah,
you made a feature like,
Yeah.
and you went through that. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, yeah, like just finished it like so recently. I just finished the like I had 3 big editing phases. So like I kind of like shut myself out to the world. I was like living in my apartment by myself, and I would wake up at like 9 and I would be editing until like 10 p.m. and then I'd export it and I'd watch what I did that day and take notes, and I'd wake up the next day and do it all over again for like a month. And I got pretty far into it, and then you know, sometimes mental health can be difficult and you just got to take
Oh
a
yeah,
break.
100%.
So yeah,
I was
So
just
I had
gonna say
3
like,
big,
been
yeah.
there, yeah.
I mean, to completely dedicate yourself to like editing, it takes a toll on you after a while.
No, it does, man, and I'm
Yeah.
so happy you brought that up, because that's something that I've been experiencing, and that's something I always discuss on this podcast about mental health. You know how important it is, how it should be taken seriously. Like as an editor, as people in the creative field, it kind of forces
You
to
edit all
work-
your own films as well?
Yeah, I edit everything myself,
Yeah.
right? And I do that actually for a living now. Like through my business, I got a client in Los Angeles, so
That's
I provide them with, I provide them with editing content, video producing. Thank you. And but my point is that I'm in this room you see right here, if you're watching YouTube, and you know, I look at these 4 walls and I said, you know, once in a while it's good to go out, it's good to talk to people. But I've been smart about it, and I created this outlet, this podcast, so I can just have a conversation with someone like yourself, right? And say, hey,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not alone. Like I got people that are in the same boat. What are they up to? What's going on in their world? What can I learn from them? So I was very strategic that way during the pandemic. While everyone was kind of, I tried to make lemonade out of lemons.
Yeah.
You know what I
That's
mean?
smart.
In any which way I could.
I mean, I learned so
so,
much from the
yeah.
first, like each wave of editing. I learned so much. Like that first time I realized like I couldn't shut myself out like that again. You know,
Yeah.
I had to be more social and like get out of the house a little bit. And then
It's a yes and a
third,
no.
the third wave that I just
Yeah, it's a balance, because the only reason I say it's a balance is because it's like you strike me as someone with a strong work ethic, right? So it's like I know you probably wanted to complete it. You can move on other projects. You also wanted to get
and
out of
I
this
was doing
point.
my master's at the same time.
That's insane. Oh my God, this guy's crazy. This guy, I love it.
I barely slept for like 2 years.
Holy shit. Good for you, man. Wow. See, everyone has a different story. That's what I love about this,
Yeah.
right? But you made it your own, and that's what's important. That's what I find admirable about yourself.
Thank
No excuses. You know what I mean? Like, you edited a film and you did your master's. Most people, and I know you know
Yeah.
this, would say, I can't edit my film. I have to do my master's. Right? So amazing.
Film was a
Man.
little more important in my mind, which I don't know.
Yeah.
Which, you know, isn't how everyone would think about it.
No, I know exactly what you mean. I
Yeah.
worked corporate jobs where I was like, my mind was in film. I was editing on my lunch break. I brought my laptop
Yeah.
sometimes if it was downtime. Like, obviously, you're not supposed to do that. Like,
Mhm.
it got. That's why I'm happy I work in remote. You know what I mean? I also manage
Yeah.
my own hours now with my work. But yeah, film was always at the forefront, number one priority. Even when you have your parents or people telling you that's not how it's supposed to be. You got to focus. You got to. And I'm like, yeah. But that's the origins, the stepping stones of someone that's keen on, you know, realizing their dream, right?
Yeah.
I think it's so
sure.
important. Yeah, but I'm definitely looking forward to hearing the feedback with regards to TIFF, like what they have to say. I'm sure
Yeah.
you're gonna do well.
Thank you.
When can we see
Thank
this
you.
film, by the way?
Well, I mean, hopefully, I mean, the dream is to have it premiere at Midnight Madness at TIFF. I mean, that's all.
Yeah.
Midnight Madness has been my favorite program. Like, since I was a kid, I've been going with my dad,
Nice.
and yeah, I guess that's what I've always been working toward. If it's not, you know, if this film doesn't make it to Midnight Madness, then maybe the next one will. But yeah, I guess I'd love
That's your
for
mission.
it to, yeah, I'd love for it
Nice.
to premiere at a festival though. So for the
Nice.
first time, and because of how Toronto centric the film is, it would be pretty incredible if it could premiere in the city. And I guess, like, worst case scenario, I could rent out the review and screen it there,
Oh yeah,
or even I
100%.
could rent out a room at the Lightbox even.
I admire, yeah, like I admire that you have a
Yeah.
mission like Midnight Madness, but don't, just word of advice, because I used to be like that. Don't make it your be all end all. Because my dream too
Oh,
is to have
no.
a film premiere. No, I'm saying, like, your film.
You asked what the dream was, you know, who knows what'll
Yeah,
happen,
that's true.
but that's the dream.
That's true. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
dream. Yeah, for sure. No, what I'm saying is that, like, it's amazing how life works, right? Like, maybe TIFF will, let's say, not that they will, but let's say they do deny it. Your film might get recognized somewhere else, and then TIFF will be like, hey, like, can we have it at our festival instead?
Who knows?
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah. So definitely looking forward to that feedback, and yeah, keep up the optimism.
Yeah.
So just on the note of as filmmakers, touching back to marketing, how important it is, how essential it is to our industry, you know, our careers. I noticed you are an avid user of social media. You know, you have like a unique style of content. What you post, it's not just clips of your films or stills. It's really just a range of different kind of mediums. Like, you know, you'll have cartoon renderings of yourself and like expressions of your work. You'll have music cover, album covers. So I want to know, like, the content, your account that relates to pop culture and visual art, music album covers. How has social media benefited your career in filmmaking and music?
That's a great question. So I have my personal account, but I'm also the social media manager for Corn Puff Records.
Right. So
Are you asking about my personal account or about
honestly, about both? I forgot to mention Corn Puff Records, but kind of just give us a brief idea of like what Corn Puff Records is and what you do for them and how it's benefited you, your kind of knowledge, your expertise in this field.
So I was really lucky to be hired as the social media manager for this one of Toronto's new independent record labels called Corn Puff Records. It was founded by Joe Alexander and Rachel Schwarz, and I had worked with Joe Alexander before, and I was brought on as the social media manager early in, and they signed Corn Puffians, a band that I was previously in, to the label, and it was an amazing experience. I didn't really understand social media so well before, so there was a big learning curve. Maybe that's, you know, why I have that approach, you know, that a different approach, because I don't really understand the traditional ways of social media promotion. But I like to think that, like, I don't post clips and stuff because I feel that, like, the whole the entirety of something you create speaks for itself. So when I'm creating trailers or promotional stuff, I like to use original, like, material or create something new that wasn't in the original thing that it's promoting. for me, I think that's always more interesting and like raises more questions about whatever it's promoting, or but yeah, I mean, and through the process of social media, I also like was able to work on I don't know if you've heard about my philosophy of the post cover.
No, I haven't. What is that exactly?
So as a musician, in especially when I was with Corn Puffians, Corn Puffians was the world's first post cover band. We were a Born Ruffians cover band, and essentially the post cover is just taking original works of art, something that you didn't create yourself, and using that influence, that inspiration, and that original artwork to create something new, something original, in a different context, that speaks to your art. And I always heard my whole life, great artists, or what is it, good artists borrow, great artists steal. I guess the post cover is just an extension of that. It's don't just steal, make it your own afterwards.
Yeah, it's true. Like, this is the whole concept that we're kind of doing through my work is NFTs. The idea that there's different variations of an original piece of artwork. Kind of encouraging.
So that's why,
I'm just encouraging artists to see the possibilities, right, of of creation.
For sure. So Corn Puffians was a huge, experiment in making art of all kinds. Corn Puffians wasn't just about music. It was about visual art. It was about written. It was about the written word. It was about social media. It was about, I tried to tackle everything. And that's kind of why the social media is filled with so many different mediums and expressions, because Corn Puffians, the scope of the artwork is so was so big. What I was trying to do.
Yeah, I got the impression it was your business that you started yourself, but you're saying you're represented by them, like
Corn Puff Records.
Yeah.
So it's Joe Alexander and Rachel Schwartz are the founders.
Okay.
I have a record label called Post Cover Recordings, which is my own. I have a stake in the business.
Yeah, I just looked at the site, and they represent you, right?
Yes.
You're part of Corn Puffians. Yeah.
I'm the part of
the
Corn
front man.
Puffians.
Wearing my favorite color, blue.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, I love it, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. I always loved an artist that's versatile, like the fact that you're not just in one kind of avenue, like you branch off, right? And you tackle all these different passions that you have, and you clearly seem to be excelling in them. So more kudos to you, right? That's amazing. So before we go, I just want to know, like, what kind of value do you desire to bring to your audience as like a filmmaker, as a musician, as Joey Litvak? What's your legacy?
What I want to do with everything I do, as a filmmaker, as a musician, as an artist, as I guess, as myself, I just hope to inspire people to make their own art, and whatever medium they want. With my feature film that I just submitted to TIFF, I guess what I really hope for that to do is show as wide an audience as we can find, that it's not difficult to make a film if that's what you want to do. That you can really just pick up a camera and make something with your friends, and you don't need the industry behind you. You don't need a ton of financial backing. If you have, like, I can show you.
Yeah, for sure.
I've been shooting the majority of my films on this camera since I was 12. It's not like a 4K camera or anything. It's not, but it's I got this like handy cam.
Wow, that's amazing.
This JVC.
Old school, love it.
Yeah, and so the majority of my films were shot on this. Even my upcoming feature was shot on this camera.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
So, I just hope that artists out there just can. I hope to create representation for independent artists who maybe feel like there isn't room for them. I just hope to inspire more voices, especially Toronto artists.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. No, honestly, man, like I love this conversation because you and I, remember we met once in person. We've stayed connected, I guess, through social media, but it's amazing to have these conversations to realize how similar you can be, right? To someone,
completely.
not only your career, your passion, but just kind of your values, your intentions as an artist. That's exactly what I was discussing with you before the podcast, right? It's like, I know I don't got the Joe Rogan setup, neon lights behind me and like a $1,000 microphone.
I got the
but
lights for you.
yeah, you got the lights for me. There you go. I always tell my guests to step it up. The host, it doesn't matter. But that's the point, right? Is to watch things, watch these creator pieces of content, and realize that it's possible. Like if the inspiration, right? If you want to start a podcast, grab yourself a mic. I used headphones when I first started. Get on Zoom and interview someone. Like it's not that hard. Use the recording, the MP3 footage, and upload it to Anchor, right? And it's for free. And the same thing with you, right? Like you can buy yourself a cheap camera. As long as you have a story to tell, you have that ambition, that passion. Like Tarantino says, you can't help but tell a great story. Like I remember that to the day I die. Like it resonated with me so much. And that's kind of something I use to kind of push myself in days where it's like, oh, I don't have that red camera, or you know what I mean, or I don't have that budget to make it a 2-hour film. It's like, no, it's like you can get to that as long as you have the story, as long as you have the will. And that's why, for example, like I didn't have the money to hire a DP, a cinematographer. So I learned the reins because I wanted to be a writer director. So I said, no, it's like, why don't you just shoot it yourself?
Awesome.
So all the films that you see, I shoot myself, and so far so good. I've been getting good reception,
and you only learn, you only learn more from doing that.
Yeah, you only learn by doing, for sure. Yeah. And you got to learn from the mistakes.
Yeah, totally. I guess like jumping off of what you said, like what I love about what I think makes, I'm not someone who is so interested in storytelling, like straightforward storytelling. I've never really believed that it matters what a film is about. What really matters to me is how a film goes about telling whatever story it's trying to tell. Whether that's in a linear fashion or out of order, or through dream sequences or montage or avant-garde experimental expression. I think a film is as good as it presents itself to be. So you can have the best story, but if you don't know how to express it or show it properly, then that's it. So you could have no story, but if you know how to, if what you're showing resonates with people, or if you're expressing something, not necessarily like a story with characters and a plot, but if you're expressing ideas or themes, things that people can relate to, I think that's the most important thing in filmmaking. Yeah,
well said. And on that note, there's really nothing else to say. That's kind of like what every filmmaker, what every artist, what every creative should strive for. Is telling the best story they can possible with the means that they have, and not feeling pressured or the need to compare with your fellow artists.
Awesome.
All right. Yeah. So thank you so much, Joey Litvak, for coming on the podcast. Learned so much from you. Very inspired by your story. And I wish you all the luck with this new feature film submitted to TIFF.
Yeah. Keep an eye out for I Am Corn Puffian's ghost camera.
Yes, we will. Yeah. I will definitely keep an eye out for that.
See you soon.
Yeah, for sure. And
good luck with you and all your festivals.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm definitely looking forward to connecting again, possible collaboration, and we'll see how it goes. All right.
Awesome. Have a great day.
All right. Take care. You as well. Yeah. Bye.